All right, let's break down one of the most contentious events in recent memory, the killing of Alex Pretti. Now, this is a story where you have two completely different versions of what happened, depending on who you ask. But as we're about to see, the video evidence, well, it tells its own very powerful story. So here's the one fact that nobody disputes. On that morning, in the Whittier neighborhood, Alex Pretti, a 37-year-old ICU nurse, was killed by federal agents. But how it all went down, that's where the story just splits wide open. And the difference between the two stories is it's just night and day. I mean, within hours, the Trump administration is calling Pretti a domestic terrorist. But then you have multiple news organizations doing a frame-by-frame analysis of bystander video, and they see something totally different. So how can two stories about the same exact moment be so radically opposed? To even start to unpack this, we gotta look at the man at the center of it all, Alex Pretti. So yeah, let's start right there. Who exactly was Alex Pretti? Well, according to his family and public records, he was an intensive care nurse, worked at the VA hospital right there in Minneapolis. He was also a union member with the American Federation of Government Employees. And this is absolutely crucial to the story. He was a lawful gun owner, he had a state permit to carry, and he had no criminal record whatsoever. Pretty straightforward, right? These are just the basic, undisputed facts of his life.
Okay, so this whole thing didn't just happen in a vacuum. The clash between Pretti and federal agents was really the boiling point after weeks and weeks of serious tension in Minneapolis. If you look at the timeline, you can just feel the city getting closer to its breaking point. It starts back in December 2025 when the Trump administration kicks off Operation Metro Surge. DHS called it the largest immigration enforcement operation ever. That, of course, led to huge protests, which then got even more intense on January 7th, when another resident, Renee Good, was killed by an ICE agent. And then, just 17 days after that, Alex Pretti was killed.
And the scale of this operation was just massive. We're talking over 3,000 arrests by federal agents in just a few weeks. You can only imagine the kind of volatile, tense atmosphere that created on the streets of the Twin Cities. And that brings us right to the heart of it, the shooting itself, and those two completely competing narratives of what happened in just a matter of seconds. This is the question, isn't it? What really happened? And luckily, because of several videos from bystanders, we can actually piece together a pretty clear timeline, one that we can put right up against the official government account. Okay, so let's break this down. On one hand, you have the Department of Homeland Security. They said Pretti came at their officers with a handgun, fought back violently, and forced an agent to fire defensive shots. But then, on the other hand, you have the video analysis. Outlets like the AP, Reuters, the New York Times, they all concluded he was holding a cell phone, not a gun. The video shows him trying to help a woman who had just been pushed to the ground by an agent. And here's the absolute kicker. His own firearm was taken away from him by one agent before a different agent started shooting. So the video shows this really clear step-by-step sequence. First, Pretti gets pepper sprayed while he's helping that fallen woman. Then he's tackled and pinned to the ground. Someone yells, "Gun, gun." Then you see an agent in gray reach in and physically remove Pretti's gun from its holster on his hip. Now get this, it's about 1 second after that gun is secured that a different agent opens fire into Pretti's back. Then a second agent joins in and they keep firing even after he's lying motionless on the ground. And the speed of this, it's just staggering. The video analysis shows that in total, 2 agents fired at least 10 shots, and it all happened in just 5 seconds. As you can probably imagine, the shooting immediately ignited a national firestorm. The fallout just splintered across all these different political, social, and even institutional lines. The reaction was incredibly widespread. This wasn't just a simple case of protesters versus the government, not by a long shot. Yeah, protesters hit the streets, but then you had the White House and Minnesota state officials publicly clashing. And in a really surprising turn, both labor unions and conservative gun rights groups came out with these really forceful statements. Of course, Pretti's family was just heartbroken and furious. They came out and directly accused the administration of lying about their son, and they begged the public to just look at the evidence on the video. And this was the lie they were talking about. This was the official White House narrative put out just hours after the shooting by senior advisor Stephen Miller. He claimed Pretti was a domestic terrorist, a claim that, as we've seen,
The video evidence just didn't seem to back up. Meanwhile, Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz called the whole situation an inflection point. And he wasn't just talking about the shooting. He was talking about what happened right after, when federal agents physically blocked Minnesota's own Bureau of Criminal Apprehension from even getting to the crime scene, even after local officials got a warrant. And this is where the story gets even more complex. You suddenly had staunchly pro-gun groups, like the Gun Owners of America, publicly condemning the administration. They came out and defended Pretti's Second Amendment right to carry his firearm while he was protesting. A really unexpected twist. The investigation itself, well, that became a whole other source of controversy. The administration announced that Homeland Security Investigations, or HSI, would handle it. Now, HSI is a branch of DHS, the very same department whose agents were involved in the shooting. As we mentioned, Minnesota's own state investigators were blocked from the scene. And on top of all that, multiple witnesses said they were detained, taken to a federal building, and held for hours without being charged with anything. So at the end of the day, the killing of Alex Pretti leaves us with this fundamental challenge. It forces us to ask a really tough question. When you have clear, verifiable video evidence that directly contradicts an official government story, where does the path to truth and to accountability even begin?